The goal we conceded was frustrating. I feel like we've spoken about it a lot. Enzo Maresca, like I've said plenty of times on this podcast, has confirmed that Robert Sanchez is his number one. He came out after the game and obviously got asked about the mistake that led to the Wolves goal. And he said, you mentioned mistakes, but how many did he save us? I think more than 4, yes? No problem. Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, what did you make of the goal we conceded?
So this is what you call, for me, that there are modern goalkeeping mistakes that are made with their feet, right? This is a handling error. This is something, if you went back to when I played, you go back 50 years ago, whatever, 60, this is one of those that he has to wake up tomorrow morning, or this morning, and deal with that if we drop points. This is, I did notice though, and I'm sure you guys did as well, how crowded, and it's a modern day thing under the goal. Put the players around the goalkeeper, make it crowded, put it under the box. But what I noticed, that he was more interested in what was going on in front of him rather than the ball. And I feel that you've got to protect. So as a centre half, you had to, if it was like that, they had stood somewhere, you've got to protect your goalkeeper. I felt that he got a little bit too wrapped up as that ball's coming in the bodies around him. And I think he's got to concentrate on the number one thing, the ball coming in. Obviously there's players in front of you, but you've got to allow your defenders to do their job to protect you and mark players. And as the ball comes in, I'm looking seconds for his eyes are on the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's a goalkeeping clanger. You can't. He'll be the first to admit it. But with his ball at his feet, I have more sympathy with, because it's not his day job. But that one, they'll do it. But it was costly. It was costly.
It was costly, and I don't think Chelsea fans would care as much if he hadn't made already a good few errors that have led to goals. And I know it's obviously different. A lot of them have come from, the ball at his feet, which is Enzo Maresca is persisting on him doing, so he's going to carry on doing that. But that, I didn't even think in that instance, I know for a lot of the corners he was under a lot of pressure. And I think even like the one after he just came out and punched. Yeah. I'd rather you come out and punch it than like flap at it, and then end up leading to a goal. It
wasn't a difficult catch.
It wasn't. There was no one around him.
You're not punching that as a goalkeeper. You don't punch that.
You should just catch it.
He's dropped it.
There was no one
I was hoping that he was going to be fouled. Just kind of. I was hoping that the whistle was going to blow, and I was like, right, we're out of trouble. My problem with Sanchez is that there's always an error every game. He makes big saves. He's had some world-class saves. I think he's got one of the highest save percentages in the league, if not the highest. But he's also leading in errors leading to goal. Like, he's up there with some other keepers in the lower leagues, in the lower part of the league. I don't really see this as a hill to die on from Maresca. I don't really think we should be so strict and so kind of settled on this goalkeeper right now. I think there's definitely room for improvement. But maybe that happens. No, maybe that's a scouting thing where right now you have to protect his confidence. I don't know about the second.
No, but what's Maresca to say and do?
Yeah. So maybe it's just to cover up until
we're not
the summer.
We're not getting a new goalkeeper in January, right?
Kelleher,
so
summer.
Okay, whatever happened, but we're not getting a new goalkeeper. Maresca's only doing what any manager would do, is protect his goalkeeper, protect his players, whether it be a fullback, centre forward. I mean, you could have the same criticism of late of Jackson, missed a couple of chances. If the same question was put to him, he's still going to say Jackson's my number one, number 9.
But he has said, like, Madueke, you need to improve. So he has said sometimes players need to
but he's got options out there.
Yeah, but so the second choice keeper isn't the option.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Clearly not. It's a harder conversation with your goalkeeper. I can pick 3 players who can play out in certain positions. 3 players play midfield, 3 players right. You've only got really one number. And you can't be changing the goalkeeper every single week. You can't do that. Yeah. You can only do it in certain competitions. Maresca gets that. I think Maresca's played the absolute perfect hand that he's been dealt with here. He has to stick with Sanchez. And what's the alternative? Throws him under the bus? That ain't happening.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. And nor should he.
I don't want him to throw him under the bus, and I don't think he should, but he never acknowledges when he makes a mistake. It's always but he saved.
But Liv, publicly and privately, 2 very different conversations. You and I don't need to hear what he says privately, because we all know he's made a mistake. I know, but I feel for Maresca on this one. What's he to say? What's the answer you want to hear?
A Chelsea fans, Matisse, just are supposed to now accept that Robert Sanchez is the number one and he's going to make mistakes that lead to goals. Because they shouldn't have to. I don't think Chelsea fans should have to deal with that.
For me, the goalkeeping position and the striker, there's nowhere to hide. I think they're the two positions in football where no one can cover you. It's very clear. You can either save your team 10 points, or you can cost them 10 points. And it's very much you're in that bubble, and that's why goalkeepers will train separately, and strikers really you're out there, and it's you or the keeper when you're going up against each other. There, it's a mental game. I just think Chelsea, if they are to kick on and try and win titles, they do need to look at improving this position, because I don't think it gives the backline any confidence. We're talking about a young backline over the next couple of years. If they've got an experienced goalkeeper that they know in the back of their heads there is going to be an error per game that could cost them, because it's fine margins. So for me, I grew up on Cech and Courtois. If we are to get back to that level, I just think the goalkeeping position has got to be a lot more. It's got to be more of a leadership position, if anything, and instead of kind of a.
But we can have this conversation in the summer.
Yeah.
Do you think Chelsea should be going for a new goalkeeper in the summer?
I think that option will definitely be looked at. I don't think that you can have the conversation right now, halfway through January, when clearly there are other areas that need to be identified.
Yeah.
Right now, that conversation has to be shelved until the summer. Then I think it's open season, because you can say, right, we now need to rebuild the squad. In January, to go out, look what Spurs have done. They've had to go and get a new goalkeeper because their two goalkeepers are injured. We aren't in that situation right now. Sanchez, there's a lot of good things about Sanchez. There's a lot of things that he needs to improve on. And all that can happen, if you keep giving goals away like he did on Monday evening, it's going to intensify. And that's a goalkeeping error, in the true sense of the word, handling error. That's something that I think is one of those you think, got to be better there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, we can now actually speak to Kevin Hatchard, who's talkSPORT's European football expert, because there is a lot going on in the January transfer window. Kev, you absolute legend.
Hey, Kev.
So nice to work with you at talkSPORT.
Kev.
Lovely to be with you. Why don't they drop Sanchez and pick Philip Jurgensen? What's going on?
Kev, I don't have the answer to that. You need to be asking Enzo Maresca that, because he's definitely not doing it. I'm going to start, Kev, because there was rumours today. I feel like Chelsea have been linked to Dusan Vlahovic every transfer window for the last 2 seasons. But it feels like Juve are willing to let him go. Why is that? He's their top scorer.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a curious situation with Vlahovic, because I think the feeling has always been that he's not necessarily the right fit for Thiago Motta in terms of the type of centre-forward that he wants. And also, he's expensive, Vlahovic, in terms of wages, and those wages are going to go up as the contract continues. And so I think if they could find a good financial agreement, I think it's something they'd certainly listen to. Vlahovic has had clashes with Juve fans this season. Sometimes it's a good relationship, sometimes it's a relationship that's not so good. So it is a bit of a weird situation. I feel a little bit sorry for Vlahovic in the sense that Juve spent a huge amount of money on him, not just in terms of the transfer fee when they bought him from Fiorentina, but also the wages. That was never his fault. But I think he's always been held to a really high standard because of that. And I think it was always maybe impossible for him to hit that standard. So I think he's been a good player for Juventus. I still like him very much. I still think for the right club, he could do very well. But I think if the finance worked, Juventus would certainly listen.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.